Hello, and this is Justin, and welcome to this Oracle YouTube video tutorial. And in this video tutorial, we're going to discuss a utility that comes with which comes with the Oracle database software. It's installed automatically. You don't have to buy any additional software license or anything like that from the Oracle Corporation to utilize this. This utility is called RMAN, and RMAN is short for Recovery Manager. Alright, and to see that it comes installed, we have a standard edition, we have the Enterprise Edition Oracle database installed here on our Windows box. And we're going to go ahead and go to the Oracle Home, where our Oracle database is installed, which is c:/oracle/app/product/11.1.0/db1. And we're going to go to our bin directory, where all the executables are kept and the dynamic libraries are kept for our Oracle database software. And there is a program called RMAN, rman.execute.exe. And this is the recovery manager. R for recovery, MAN for manager. So, what RMAN does is it provides you a way to back up and recover and restore and recover your Oracle database in a simple way, a simple fashion. Simple compared to user-managed backup and recovery. This is RMAN, which is server-managed backup recovery, which means that Oracle backs up the data files for you. Okay? So, first thing you need to do before you can do RMAN is RMAN works like SQL Plus. The SQL Plus utility is the client program, and the Oracle database is the server program. All right, it works the same way with RMAN. RMAN is the client program, and the Oracle database is the server program. So, in order for the client, being RMAN in this case, to know what Oracle database to connect to, you need to set the Oracle SID, just like you do with the SQL Plus client program. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set our Oracle SID to finance, and then we're going to ensure that it's set correctly. Finance. Now, to connect to, we have to back up the database, we need to connect to the database as RMAN. And the database and this is RMAN terminology, the database which you are backing up or restoring is known as the target database to RMAN. Okay, he's the database that the RMAN client is targeting to back up or restore. So we do RMAN space target space slash, and what that's saying is connect to the database that the Oracle SID is set to, which is finance. Okay, but connect to it as sysdba user. Remember when you connect to SQL Plus, you do SQL Plus space slash space as sysdba. Well, with RMAN, you kind of do the same thing, but you don't add the as sysdba. Why? Is because RMAN can only connect to a database as the sysdba privilege. So sysdba is implicit here; it's implied. So we type in RMAN space slash. We get the recovery catalog banner information. I mean, the recovery manager banner stuff. And our first message we get is connected to target database finance, and here's that DB ID 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, the 10-digit number. Well, usually. Okay, DB ID and finance is our database name. So this right here tells us that we are connected to the target database. So RMAN is started, and we're connected to the database, which is set in the Oracle SID variable, which is finance. So connected to target database finance, DBID, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and we know we're in RMAN because we have an RMAN prompt, much like the SQL prompt we get when we're in SQL Plus. Now, to back up your Oracle database, it's quite simple. You type in backup database. That's all you have to do. And you hit enter. Okay, and RMAN connects to the control file, and the control file tells RMAN where the data files are, and RMAN takes care of everything else. RMAN takes care of what blocks are currently in use, and what blocks it can back up, what order it needs to block them up in. RMAN takes care of all of that. You also notice this message here when we started our backup. It says using target database control file instead of recovery catalog. Okay, I'll discuss that when we talk about RMAN recovery catalogs, when we talk about what that is. Okay, so we backed up we did a backup database, and yes, it's that easy, folks. So we did a backup database like so. It backed up our data files, and it backs them up into backup pieces. Okay, this right here, there were two backup sets created here. The first backup set were your data files, and the backup set is a terminology used within Oracle. Within RMAN, sorry. And the backup piece is the file name that the backup set is written to. So RMAN will automatically generate an 8-character file name called a backup piece, and you'll get -1 after all of them. The only time you won't get a _1 is if you are if you're using other features of RMAN, such as you can split up the backup pieces, you can do series of backup pieces, and we'll talk about that in more advanced RMAN tutorials. But as of now, just know that you backed up your Oracle database. Now, to list what backups you have performed in RMAN, you type in the command list backup like so. Now, this is reading the control file. All metadata about Oracle database backups taken within RMAN are retrieved automatically from the database control file. There's a special section in the control file just for RMAN backup information. As you can see, if you type in list backup as we did, it's going to show you list of backup sets. It's going to say, here it is, this backup set here, ID1, belongs to this, is contained within this file name, and it contains a backup of these DBFs. And right here, it's saying backup set 2, contained in this file name, contains the control file. Okay? To delete the backup, what you do is to delete all the backups that RMAN knows about. But before I do that, I'll show you that it did actually write. And by default, it writes it to this directory, database under your Oracle home. There are the two backup pieces that we wrote, BA and C4. BA, see there it is, and C4. So the backup pieces did write, okay? And they're written in RMAN proprietary binary format. So you won't be able to read those files. Only RMAN can open and read those files and write to those files. Okay, so we do list backup, and we see all of our backup pieces, well, backup sets within RMAN. To delete them, we type in delete backup, just like this. It's going to give you the two backup pieces, B8 and C4. It's going to say, do you really want to delete the above objects? Type in yes at that confirmation. And it says deleted backup piece, deleted two objects. Now when you type in list backup, you'll see that they are no longer there. And if we do a dir in that directory, we will see that our _1 files are no longer there as they are here. So the delete backup command not only deletes the history of the backup out of the control file, but also deletes them physically from disk. So we're going to connect with RMAN again, and this time we're going to do something different. This time we're going to say backup database plus archive log. So we're going to say backup the database plus the archive logs. And what it does first is it does a switch, an archive log switch. It backs up the archive logs that we have. then it backs up the data files, then you're going to see it's going to back up the control file, and then it's going to back up the archive, another archive. It's going to do another archive log switch, and then back up the archive logs again. You'll see that in a second when it's done writing the backup. All right. So here's another archive log that it wrote. Okay. So basically, we have here the backup sets that this backup created. We have KH, which contains archive logs. We have a KL, which contains our data files. We have LH, which contains our control file. And we have LO, which controls our archive logs. Okay? Now I'm actually going to take a copy of this, and I'll explain this in a second. This backup piece name is imperative, and I'll explain that in a second. Okay? So this backup piece contains our control file, as you can see. Okay. Now if we do a list backup, we will see that information. LO contains an archive log, as we see here. LH contains a control file. KL contains the data files. And KH contains archive logs. Okay, so now, and if we do a DIR, we will see those four archive logs, data files, control file, archive logs. We will see those four files there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test to ensure that RMAN works correctly. Here's all the files that make up our database: control files, redo logs, data files. I'm going to shut down, abort the database, which just kills the database immediately. And I'm going to delete everything, all the files that make up my finance database. Start up my now I'm going to attempt to start up my finance database. It's going to try to look for those files. They're not there. Error in identifying control file. Check alert for more info. I'm going to shut down abort because there's nothing really to shut down gracefully. And I need to restore my database. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. What do I do? Well, all you have to do, as long as your P file is there, just type in RMAN target, like that. Now it connects to a target, there's nothing there, and database not started. So you have to start your database in no mount node to begin with. And you can do a startup no mount just like you can in SQL Plus. You can do the same thing in RMAN, which is pretty convenient. So startup no mount, it says Oracle instance started. So now we're at a state where we have an Oracle instance to connect to, but we don't have a control file, so we can't start the database up to mount mode, and we certainly can't start the database up to the default mode, which is open mode, because we don't have any data files. So what do? Now that the instance has been started, we restore our control file, and we do that with the following command: restore control file from, and in single quotes we give the backup piece name, semicolon. So we're saying restore the control file from this backup piece name. And look what it did. It not only restored a control file, but it gave us 3 copies. It made 3 copies of the control file, our multiplexed mirror control file, because our P file told RMAN that it needs that we're expecting 3 copies of the control file. So even though we only backed up 1, RMAN automatically made 3 copies of it, which is pretty cool. And if we do a DIR in our finance directory, we'll see that our control files have automatically appeared. Now that we restored our control files, we can mount our database instance. So we can do alter database mount. Yes, right from RMAN you can do it. You don't have to go into SQL Plus and back and forth. database mounted. Now RMAN can, now we don't have to say restore from and explicitly say the backup piece name like we had to do with the control file. Now that the control file is mounted, all the information about the backups are now accessible, the backup metadata in the control file. So now what we can do is, to restore our database, all we do is restore database, semicolon. And you're probably thinking, it can't be that easy, but I'm telling you, it is. It's reading the backup, it's restoring all of our data files, so it's reading from the KL backup piece. Obviously, these backup files have to be where RMAN expects them to be and has to be available for this to work. It's that easy, folks. And the save on YouTube time, I'll pause the video until the restore is completed. And we're back, and the restore has completed. Now you need to recover your database, and how do we do that? Oh, just as easy. Type in recover database. And we get our usual unnoted thread error. And now we type in alter database open reset logs. Just like we did in the user managed recovery video with SQL+. But notice in RMAN, we don't have to put the table spaces in the backup mode. Why? Because RMAN is backing up the database. RMAN, who better to back up the database than Oracle himself? So RMAN is internally communicating with Oracle. RMAN knows about the data files. In user managed backup and recovery, you're using an OS utility such as a OS copy command or whatever you're using, or some kind of a backup program. Okay, it has no knowledge about the data blocks within Oracle, within the file, nor does it care. So to be safe, you have to pause the data file, put it in backup mode. You don't have to do that here because RMAN knows what blocks are in use and it has internal structured knowledge of the database. Okay, but just keep in mind, the database needs to be in archive log mode in order to back it up while it's up and running. So you just can't do a backup database within RMAN while the database is up and running without being in archive log mode. That is true for RMAN as well. And if we do a dir, we will see that our data files and everything have been returned to us. They're back. And if we go into SQL sysdba, select name from v database, select open mode from v database, make sure we're read write, dba table spaces, we will see that our database is healthy. So that's how you use RMAN, and there'll be more. There's more advanced RMAN videos out there. Take a look, but that's basically the basic RMAN tutorial. And yes, Recovery Manager, I do recommend, just like Oracle Corporation recommends, that you use RMAN, which is Server Managed Backup and Recovery, to back up and recover your Oracle databases. It's becoming a fast standard, and yes, it's that easy. So there's a lot of good publications available out there. I suggest you get your hands on one. All right, that's how you back up the database using RMAN.